I hope you're having an amazing day. My name is Colin. In this video, we're going to have a look at the Launchpads of today. What is the crypto market up to? Bitcoin sitting at about 46.6k, quite stable over the last days, quite stable over the last 7 days, actually, with some minor up and downs. The fear and greed index from greed last week to neutral yesterday to neutral right now, a better position that we were in last month with extreme fear. So how are the Launchpads doing? Where is the focus? Every single day I will cover on this YouTube channel the Launchpads, the launches, and of course everything related with IDOs, private rounds, seed rounds, everything you need to know. It is not looking too bad actually. You see a lot of green, you see a lot of red. However, obviously looking at the 7-day weekly average, you can see some good gains have been made, specifically by the larger launchpads. So Superfarm, obviously an NFT launchpad, which is not available yet. UFO Gaming also not to be included here. DAOmaker being the biggest launchpad, making steady gains, and that's a good signal that one of the biggest launchpads, based on their market cap, almost $200 million, is steadily moving with Bitcoin to that stabilization. Polkastarter gaining 20% this week, was a little bit down, so it's definitely good to return around that $2 area where it basically would match DAOmaker's value at around 200 million. So these are the two biggest launchpads on market cap. CDFI still needs to recover a whole lot compared to where it was before. In the previous bull market, November 2021, we saw this at $16. So definitely it has a long way to go. It did suffer quite a bit this week. Any specific reason I'm not aware of. Perhaps a staking unlock or something like this, where other pads are making quite significant gains. There was quite a significant drop, perhaps the lack of new projects, but this is definitely quite interesting to analyze further in a separate video. CDFI being one of the most interesting launchpads for myself with their gaming related content. Trustswap doing extremely well compared to all, most, not all, but most of the other platforms, right? See that significant gain right here, basically taking up 25-30% in one single day, and then keeping it stable. Well, 2 days actually, then keeping it stable, which is the most important thing, right? So not super overvalued in my opinion. It's one of the better launchpads currently. The reason why it's that it's fully diluted. Basically, it's almost all tokens are in circulation. There's just a quite little bit of a low volume overall, and I haven't covered Trustswap that much. However, I am looking forward to doing that more into the future. BSC pad, obviously quite strong with about 65 million in market cap, 70 cents. It is a little bit down, but stable. GameFi, a little bit down as well after that pump, right? So that's quite important to note. After that pump occurred, there was a little bit of a drawback. So it must be it's probably a $1 million purchase, something like this, and then obviously people are taking profit with the current market conditions as we're not like in full greed, right? Star Terra basically climbing steadily with Terra Luna, right? So that definitely makes sense. Impossible Finance, I don't know what's up with this token, but it just keeps pumping. There's definitely not that much volume overall, but it had a super big downward trend, then it pumped a little bit, then a downward trend again, and this obviously across 3 months, right? But it does look like this pad is able to make moves. The unfortunate part is, in my opinion, it's valued at 807 million fully diluted, so the market cap is already quite high relative to the circulating supply, but apparently with the Launchpad, it doesn't always matter that much. Paid Network got a new logo, apparently, but it doesn't help it not spiraling down, basically. And basically in the current market conditions, I would say that more projects are being pushed to the market. So a lot of these Launchpads will soon, if the market stabilizes around the 50K, 48, 50K, show a lot better numbers, right? So we just need to be patient. Poolz Finance pulling in a good 17%, so that's definitely good. Most of the Bluezilla Launchpads still down, not significantly, just small numbers. On a weekly average though, Oxbool is quite struggling. when we look at the last month, right, it went down quite a bit. And it has not recovered as some of the other launch, but it did give a good attempt here. That's what we saw basically earlier last week, and then it went down again. So definitely looking for some good news on Oxbull and Bull Perks basically as well, but that has done a 10% pump. Game Zone, one of my personal interesting launch pads. It's unfortunate that it's like primarily... am I talking about the right one? Am I talking about Game Zone or GameFi? No, I'm not talking about this one. This is the Bluezilla pad. I'm talking about the wrong one. I always mix the two. So GameFi is the one that I like. Yes, the expensive one. But the lottery is just not something I am personally interested in. Communitas, slow downturn. Super Launcher, okay, Fellas Pad, pumping. Then what else we have? So I got some Fellas Pad as well. I might have to sell some of that because I'm not active on that Launchpad at all. I just hold the tokens. Fee Launch, interesting. Pull up the Fee Launch chart, see what we have. Yeah, linear downward trend. Some stabilization at least. I think they're trying to pull in some projects. But the fully diluted market cap quite high. The only thing that is good about this project, in my opinion, is that they have some good volume at least, like 3 million 24-hour volume. That's some good volume behind it. So there's people actively trading this token at least, which for most Launchpads is just not the case, right? Specifically the smaller ones. Soul Racer doing well, less network, stable. Tronpad in a downward trend. Me had a fee pad as well. Moonstarter just picked up the pump actually. So that was not too long ago. As we can see, that's just like 2 hours ago it started pumping. Must be like something like a new project or something. Then we got NFT launch in the daily pump, but still down. Engine starter still very much struggling. Memepad struggling because their market cap is already very low. The volume is low and the percentages are down. Bin starter struggling. So basically the launch pads that I covered across the last 2 months, every single day that have been struggling are still struggling, right? So it's the market obviously working against them. Look at this. AnyPad lost 25% of its value this week. That's insane. But it also has to do with like structural format. Why are some launchpads gaining? Because the team is just either more efficient, pulling in more projects, willing to risk potentially a little bit more, talk with the audience more, talk with the community more. You know, we did the Kadena high percent launchpad sale. We did a lot of AMAs with the founding team. That instills trust. You know, the idea went really well on high percent on their own token. They sold out. Why? Because they were willing to share information. They're willing to show their faces, have a chat about the projects, how it works, effort. And that's what I see with a lot of these projects. There's just literally no effort, right? They just wait for the bull run and then to do their thing again. But I think if you want to be one of the top 5 launch pads, you need to put in that consistent effort, get good projects, show their face, do the AMAs, and not a fucking text AMA, you know, that's boring as fuck. Nobody wants to read pre-assigned questions. You want something, well, maybe as critical as myself, asking the right questions. How does this work? What do you think about this? Just to see if you have a good fit, you know. The Unix Launchpad will launch Delicium, I think that's how it's pronounced. Obviously, the token pumped on that news that they have basically announced their first project. Obviously, Unix Gaming is not only the Launchpad, they have a guild, they have a lot of other shit, but basically that the Launchpad is almost ready to launch its first project. The token pumped a little bit, right? Which is good because I have the legendary tier, so that's always nice. Pick up some Firestarter, 25 cents, so still in a linear downward trend on the Firestarter. Basically the last month it did increase a little bit, right? So the lowest one was 15 cents, fucking hell. But the volume is low, the fully diluted market cap is low. Definitely need some structural quality launches, right, on the Firestarter Launchpad, which I think is possible. I think it's definitely not an impossible task, but in terms of the performance, this is one of the launchpads I think that will do really well if the market turns more bullish. But of course, we also expect launchpads to do well when the market is perhaps a little bearish, right? It really depends on how it's managed. One of these examples is Perigen. For the Digits Club, we did the launch with Perigen. It has performed really well. Their IDOs has performed really well. They have a lot of IDOs, and the token, obviously, because of the Bitcoin crash, but then there's like a good recovery because of the amount of projects, how well it's going, what they're doing. So Launchpads that say that, like, oh, it's not possible because of the market conditions. That's not true, mate. That's not true. These guys are putting in the effort, they're putting in the work to prove themselves, and it shows. And that's just something I am a fan of, the hard work, the consistency, and I want to see that with basically every single Launchpad, because that trust, I think, at the moment is really important. Me as an investor, just my personal opinion, but I think a lot of the people, as you and other people inside Digits Club, where we focus on the Launchpads community, you can join through the link in the description, are basically interested, in to see how that goes. When I pull up my Track Digits, which is basically free to use right now. So if you go to Track Digits, you can basically get to use this software for free. Follows all your tokens, all your claims. Mine is not up to date, so I need to add a lot more tokens. I only have about 15. I need to add a lot more. But overall, on my statistics, if I look at the last month, right, we can definitely see that the vested values have become worth less and less. I did claim a lot, right? So, but in terms of the information that you have, and I don't have that many tokens, but at least Age of Gods is pumping, but I have nothing to be claimed there, I think. The most important thing, I think, in terms of the vested value, right? We invest on these Launchpads in projects that are vested over 6 months, over a year, right? Where we need to take into consideration the bearish pattern as well, not only on the Launchpad tokens where you have the risk, but also the entries that you're going to make inside these projects that are going to be launched during the bearish pattern, and the tokens that you're holding. So basically, I'm holding quite a bit, so this is not all my tokens, right? I have 2 tabs, I need to enter a couple of more tokens. And something like Soul Chicks, right, that launched through the Soul Chicks private sale themselves. I still hold the last vesting, so I didn't sell the last vesting. But look at this chart. Of course, I'm not going to sell. I will wait. Like, this is only $5,000 worth that I still have. Maybe it's like 3,000 right now because it's like down so much. But I got these tokens for 4.5 cents, which is like 50% loss at the moment. So it's likely that I will just wait for a bullish market where this game will also pump, although it's shit, right? And then I will get rid of it. I'm not going to get rid of it right now, sell at a loss. That's just one of my principles, right? And this tool basically shows me the pricing, how it works, and it's free to use right now while in beta. All we want in return is your feedback. So if you like the tool, if you want to know, have improvements, just give feedback. Go to trackdigits.com or check the link in the description. Free to use, and free is obviously the best. But yeah, on these Launchpads, it's basically quite a subtle day. There are definitely some launches which we're discussing in Digits Club, how that's going. And I'm definitely looking forward to review these Launchpads every day to find the pattern, right? But that's so important with these Launchpads. There's always like a pattern, a consistency, and based on recognizing the pattern, but you need to look at it every single day, you can basically find the opportunities. And obviously the launches that I will cover on each of these Launchpads. So that's everything for today. It's looking quite good, I'm not that negative in general on what's happening right now with the Launchpads. Most of them seem to be recovering, and the other ones that are still struggling are more like fundamental changes. And I think if the market turns more bullish, these will also be supported. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. Are the Launchpads going to recover, or will it be a rough time ahead? I'm definitely curious to see what the sentiment in the Launchpad market is currently. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one.